Hello. So I just want to go through the keystrokes on the TI-Nspire for the skills you need for section 5.1 and 5.2 for these first two sections. So what I want everybody to do is to take your calculator. So if you don't have them, go and grab them, pause the video, grab your calculator, and we're going to start a new document. So new document. And I've got this data over here for height and weight of individuals in pounds. So we're going to do list and spreadsheet. Okay, and now I'm going to take and enter this data. So 74, 65, 77, 72, and 68. And then I'm going to get the other points. 256, 124, 320, 185, and 158. Okay. Now, once you've got your data entered, that's great. But when we're dealing with statistics, especially when we're talking about two variables, you really need to distinguish between the two. And so we need to, up in this label spot, we're going to have to label one of them, label both of them so that we can grab this data. And what I would suggest you do is the one that you are using first to label that with an X, and then you could go ahead and put context on that, like that's height. And then put the next one, you could name it Y, and you could label it still as weight afterwards. So put the X in front of whatever it is. So if it's like, if X is the number of pounds, you could write like X pounds or something like that. If you put the X or the Y in front, it'll save you some trouble later, I think, when you're going to do these steps. All right, so I've got them labeled. And then what we did before was we made a scatter plot of these. So if you haven't entered this data yet, go ahead and pause the video, get this 5 little coordinates entered and this label put in. Okay. And now we're going to make a new page. So I'm going to press Control and Dock. That's going to give me a new page. And I want a data and statistics page, number 5. Okay, so to construct this scatter plot, I would click the X axis. So you can use your little cursor arrow down there, and I'm going to pick the X thing, which we said was going to be height. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Here's the Y and the weight. Okay, and here's my scatter plot. And I can tell from this that this has a fairly strong positive linear relationship between these two variables. Okay, if I was going to transfer this to my paper, on my axis or on my piece of paper, I would draw my coordinate plane and I would just use the scale that the scatter plot already had, 64, 68, 70, 72, 74, 76, and 78. And then I would do vertically the 140, 200, 260, and 320. And then I would plot the points. Now you could arrow over these with your little bar, but that's kind of a waste of time. Once you have your coordinates sketched on your coordinate plane sketched and you've got your axes labeled and you didn't forget your variable, you wrote height and weight on there, you can just plot the points as you see them. So where is 74, 256? Where is 65, 124? You have the data, just plot those points, okay? And now what we want to do is we want to be able to figure out, okay, that does look like it's a strong positive. So what is R? R is our correlation coefficient. And there's 2 ways to get that. All right, so I'm going to go back to this page. Now, to back a page, you can put your little cursor up on the page and you can click, and that'll take you back. Another thing you can do is press Control and either the left or the right arrow buttons, and those will go one direction or the other. And then finally, another option you have for alternating between pages is if you press Control up, it'll show you all the pages you have, and you can go to the one that you want and hit Enter. Okay, so I'm going back to this data here, and I'm going to run the 2 variable statistics. Okay, so I'm going to press Menu and Statistics and Stat Calculations. Oh, I went to my cursor ran away. So Statistics, Stat Calculations, and this time we want to go to number 2, which is 2 variable statistics. This gives us everything that we would want to know about the data, the same thing as the first chapter. Mean and standard deviation and 5-number summary, all of that, but it does it for X and Y, and it also gives us R as well. Okay, so number 2, that's the 2 variable statistics. And it's going to say, where's your X list? Okay, well, I called that height. And where's your Y list? You're going to click down in that menu and click OK. All right, so again, once you're in that screen, you're going to press Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculations, 2 variable statistics. You're going to go in X for X and Y for Y. And you get all this really good information right here. So I get the average X bar, the average X value. We get the standard deviation of X. we can see that there's 5 ordered pairs, if you weren't sure, the average y value, the standard deviation of y, and then if you keep scrolling down, you're going to see r. R is 0.961. So I'm going to go here if I can get my, oh, I've got my eraser selected. Let me try again. Okay, so r is 0.961. Okay, so that gives me that R value, that correlation coefficient, which tells me that this does measure mathematically as a strong positive linear relationship. And it's confirmed by the scatter plot, which does look that way. Now, the next thing I want to be able to do for is to figure out how to make predictions. So what I want to know, is there a line that runs through this data that would be good for making predictions? That's called the least squares regression line. And in statistics, the least squares regression line has this form. It says y hat equals a plus bx. Now, I know this looks a lot different from your y equals mx plus b from algebra 2, and that's going to be okay. Okay, so remember the y hat, that's a special symbol for us in statistics, and that stands for the predicted value of y. Okay, and then instead of using mx plus b, we use a plus bx, and there's a reason for that, which we'll talk about in the next video. But for right now, just trust me, this is the equation of the line that we're going to use, a plus bx, a plus bx. Okay, so to get this equation of this line, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to calculate the equation of this line. So in my spreadsheet here, okay, so here's all my 5 data values. I'm just going to, for my own sanity, arrow over so I don't have to see this. I'm going to go menu, statistics, and stat calculations again, just like we did before. We're doing the 4-1-1. Menu, statistics, stat calculations. Okay, menu, statistics, and, oops, sorry, menu, statistics, stat calculations. Menu, statistics, stat calculations. And this time I want linear regression, and I want number 4. Number 4, notice, has that format for statistics, which is a plus bx. We do not want to pick number 3. That's for algebra. Okay, so a plus bx, number 4, menu, statistics, stat calculations, linear regression. Okay, and when I click that number 4, it's going to feed back to me, hopefully up here. Maybe, oh no, maybe it did not. Let me try again. Menu, statistics, stat calculations, linear regression, a plus bx. Here we go. And it's going to ask again, what's your x and what's your y? So you're going to enter those in and click OK. And what I get here is it says the regression equation, a plus b times x. A is negative 925. So I'm going to say over here, I'm going to say y hat equals negative 925. And I'm going to say 0.6, okay, plus bx, so plus 15.9x. Okay, so there's my regression equation. And then what I also want you to notice, in this same menu, it says r squared, which we're going to talk about in a couple of days. And then also here's r again. So if you have to run this linear regression, you not only get the equation of the line of best fit, but you also get the r value in there as well. So r is hiding in both of these set of keystrokes in the stat calculations. So if you need r, you can actually run either one and find that. All right, now I'm going to go back really quick. So what is this line? What does this equation of this line really mean? And the first thing I notice is it has a positive slope, because the slope is the number in front of x always. So the rate of change here is 15.9. So it seems like the predicted value of y is going up by about 15.9 for every one value of x. Okay. I also see it has an x-intercept, or sorry, a y-intercept of negative 925. That's really low and really negative and makes no sense for weight. Okay, but that would be that equation of that line. If I'd like to see that, okay, while I've got this scatter plot up on the screen, I can actually see that. I'm going to go menu, and then I'm going to go to number 4, which says analyze. Number 4, analyze this data. You'll notice that number 6 says regression. And you can actually have it show the linear regression line in the a plus bx form, which is the one we calculated. Boom. And there is the equation of that line. So you can actually see this does fit this data pretty well. Kind of missing out a little bit right here, but you can actually see this line as it's going through the data. Okay, so those are the calculator skills you need for today. I strongly recommend that you do this video with your calculator. So if you just watched it in double speed, go back to the beginning, punch in all the numbers, make sure you can do this in your calculator. Thank you.